What up, y'all? It's Sir Cash here. Welcome to episode 1 of Cash Talks. Each episode is going to be a little bit different. Subjects are going to vary from maybe cars, maybe politics, maybe cultural, and a big hot topic of this year has been the decline in Marvel movies. So this episode will be about what's going on with Marvel and why Marvel is in the position that it's in right now. So one thing you have to understand about Marvel or Disney as a brand is what is Disney and what it was created for. Disney was created for the sale of toys and it was marketed to kids, but it was mainly marketed towards, in my opinion, young girls. If you look at Disney of the 90s, because I'm an 80s baby, so most of the content that I consumed of Disney, I'm going to think more of kids movies, and there's always like princess themed. So if you look at what's happening right now with Marvel, when Marvel started out underneath the Disney brand, there was one person who was around in every movie. He was considered the Watcher. You know him, you love him. That's Stan Lee. So Stan Lee survived from the beginning of Marvel. I believe his last movie was Endgame. And so to have such a high figure in Marvel movies, even though he's not an executive producer, Stan Lee's word when it comes to Marvel characters reigns really, really strong. Well, after the end of Stan Lee, you started seeing like Marvel started shifting in a different direction. So let's back up a little bit. You look at Disney, and Disney is ran by Bob Iger, and company man, they know Disney's motto: sell to little girls, sell to kids, but your main target is little girls. Well, Marvel was such a huge hit because it kind of brought the guys in. Didn't mean it didn't have anything tailored towards females. I mean, there's always some white guy named Chris in one of their movies taking off their shirt, showing like 15 abs. But at the same time, it was marketed mainly towards the guys that women actually enjoyed as well. So under Marvel, you have I can't believe Kevin Feige. So Kevin Feige is the essentially the head guy in charge, and he's kind of like planning out the vision. But in my opinion, underneath that, then you have Stan Lee. Well, as Marvel progressed, and once like I said before, Stan Lee passed away, then that caused Marvel, mainly Disney, to revert back to what Disney knows, which is female audiences. Which is why if you look at characters and how they've been kind of wired up and mixed with today's culture, it's turned it into more of a female-driven brand, which isn't working. So princesses back in the day, princess would come and get saved by the prince, and they would live happily ever after. Well, today's culture's changed in regards to women. It's not about a woman and a man coming together. It's about a woman being a boss. She's the smartest, she's the most intelligent person in the room, and she don't need no man, yada yada yada. Well, and then let's pause that. Let's look at the flip side to what else Disney owns. They own Star Wars. So, and not only just owning Star Wars is headed by Kathleen Kennedy. Now, George Lucas is not under Kathleen Kennedy the way that Stan Lee was under Kevin Feige. So Kathleen Kennedy could essentially run everything the way she wanted to, which is why when Star Wars came out, it came swinging out with a female protagonist, which isn't the issue. Nobody cares if it's a female. They just want a good story. But it had a built-in audience. So Disney knew what they was doing by buying Star Wars. They want that built-in audience. Nobody's creative, so get the built-in audience. Well, as we've seen with Star Wars, it's been heavily female-centric. Yes, there's been, a couple of good shows. I like The Mandalorian season 1 and 2, but as always, what happened? It reverted back into the princess syndrome, as I would call it. And so that's where Star Wars is in the state of time. It had a built-in male audience, but yet it tried to flip female in a relatively short period of time. Now we'll go back to Marvel, because Stan Lee had so much input in, what he could say could really dictate how Marvel would flow cinematically. Once he was gone, Disney kind of did what they wanted to do, which is why you started seeing more of the obscure characters, but then they started getting gender swapped, aka Black Widow, Taskmaster. They did my boy Taskmaster wrong, turning into a woman, and not just only a woman, they turned it into a horrible character. They used it by name only, which is why people were really disappointed. Black Widow should have had a movie way before her death in Endgame, but at the same time, they did Taskmaster dirty. And you keep on going down the list. Everything starts changing to representation. You gotta represent this culture and yada yada yada. Not a fan of it. Also, not a fan of Captain Marvel. And I can almost have a whole episode of what's wrong with Captain Marvel in my perspective, because a lot of people don't really see what I see when I look at Captain Marvel. Matter of fact, let me go on a little tangent with Captain Marvel. So obviously everybody knows they sandwiched it in between the two biggest movies of literally our generation to push Captain Marvel out. Well, I look at Captain Marvel in a deeper sense. I looked at Captain Marvel as, why are they having a young black girl praise a white woman? Let's break that down a little bit. So Monica Rambeau is Captain Marvel's mom's daughter. No, Captain Marvel's best friend's daughter, Monica Rambeau. And so you have Maria, and then you have Monica. Maria and Captain Marvel are best friends. They're in Air Force, yada, yada, yada. Well, at some point during the movie, you can tell that Monica is like infatuated with Carol Danvers. And my thing is, why is a little black girl infatuated with the white woman when her own mom has broken barriers? Her mom wasn't like the janitor in a closet, Maria Rambeau, and I could be wrong, I'm just going off the top of my head. So Maria literally is an Air Force pilot, but the daughter is more infatuated with the with her mom's, not sister, but her mom's friend, when they do the same job. And I'm like, I don't like that. Why are you having the daughter praise her? She should be praising her own mom, not somebody else. And I would say that if it was a white kid, black kid, whatever the color. I don't like that idea, because if I'm doing something, I want my kids to praise me. I don't want them to praise my homie who I'm doing the same job as them. That was the problem I had with that. And so let's fast forward to The Marvels, a movie that historically flopped this year. Why did it flop? First of all, nobody cares for Captain Marvel. Nobody cares for Miss Marvel. And Spectrum, as her name is in the comics, I believe, or Monica Rambeau. Nobody really cares unless you watched WandaVision. So let's look at the Marvels from the outside looking in. I don't care about the story, yada, yada, yada. I'm not going to get into that. But what I am going to get into is why you still have a movie where you have a little Pakistani girl and a woman who used to praise Carol Danvers. So essentially you have two women of color. They love this representation. You have two women of color praising a white woman. Once again, what in the world does Miss Marvel, Kamala Khan, what in the world does she have to praise Captain Marvel for? What did she do? She destroyed Thanos' ship. Nobody was there. I didn't see nobody recording the film. You know what I'm saying? Whatever. It's hard for me to believe that Miss Marvel, Kamala Khan, would praise Captain Marvel before she'd be infatuated with Spider-Man, seeing as they're in the same neighborhood in New York. Just hard for me to believe. She's a super fan, but yet she's once again infatuated with a white woman. Not making this racial, making an observation. Yeah. So, anyways, back to the decline of Marvel and what's happening. It's because Disney is reverting back to its essentially female-centric roots, which is why they can't create different characters that have intrinsic different values. If you look at the last Black Panther movie, Black Panther 2, you look at Riri Williams and then you look at Shuri, they're essentially the same woman. Smart, young, athletic build, some tech genius. It's essentially the same movie. You look at Ant-Man, Ant-Man 2, or Ant-Man, mainly Ant-Man and Quantumania, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, and you look at Ant-Man's daughter. What is she? She's young, athletic, some tech whiz kid. It's essentially copy-paste. How many more times can we copy-paste the same? The only reason you have to copy-paste is because you can't come up with any ideas. So the decline of Marvel isn't necessarily because it's gone woke, and I'm going to have a whole different conversation on that, because it's not woke, it's hyper-progressive. The decline of Marvel is because Disney is reverting back to what it is, a female company, a princess company. Yes, they will kind of cater to boys, but as things have went in the culture when it comes to, male empowerment or even little boys empowerment, it's not about boys empowerment. It's more of like turning boys into confused children and more female power centric. And so if you agree, let me know in the comments. If you like this episode of Cash Talks, let me know, because I plan on keep on doing them if you like it or not. But all right, y'all, I'm going to get out of here. I'll catch y'all in the comments. Peace.